Today, number which is Panchen Gedun Choekyi Nyima, some sort of like today, that from got chat the any number that March chatted the CEO, chatted another Sibana, Yon Chigi, Panchen Gedun Choekyi Nyima, within Nanda, any the Swiss Nasha, and it might say any. Apart to any Janak Shungi Moni, any John Bishigi, Monzin now with any Panchen Gedun Choekyi Nyima, Monzin Le Monzin Laka, the maybe only any that on the same boom took chair, and we soon name about the Jixembum Pinani, and me that Yansi Shimbat say that in the Damabush from the Odingra, the Chapter law by Natinama Basil to the Samudra. Ani Odig Netan Chigra, Ani Matsuki, Chosiki, Pension Bichiki, Tungati, Sonzi Shudi, Inea, Matusu Kayang, the pension which is how you ready, that chick. Panta de Betoni, chick, Matuya, Mania Kutancha, Chapina Ditida, John Bichiki. That Nisu Koya, Shisha, Imena, and it can do get Janaki Magato, then Samsung in Navigatoni, any pigeon which should be like in a Tanji Koyore, any Lonis Nula, and the Sigan which in Yamtoni, Jadi should do, any which and Janaki speak, Chianashi, that of that 20 and the Charlie Nandi race one. Not to Monday, you get to child, some King or did entering down to Inchinobagi, Perukobagi Boni, the Rubichi Tungas from the Shiada, any Rubichi, Rubichi, Benchen Bichigi, Yansila Mozina, Alan to be Gabwag, Yetan Chikda, most of Yetan Shibatan, which can da for the Yetan Chikadi Europe, but do some amount of Sushi that took Yetan Chikadi, some of hello everyone. So today we are gathered here to celebrate the 36th birthday of His Holiness the 11th Panchen Gedun Choekyi Nyima. In the true conditions, from the one perspective, the Gedun Choekyi Nyima is recognized by His Holiness the Dalai Lama as third as the selection committees based in Tibet, the Tibetan Community, and all of them suggest the Gedun Choekyi Nyima is one of the most important members of the members in the selection, and then even in this latest group that mentioned that I like through the selection, through the religious rituals, and it's confirmed. But however, the Chinese government they didn't accept what is his selection, and then they try to find another pension through the golden dawn as well. There's all these things mentioned in this book, and I want to welcome to this birthday celebration our chief guest, Madam Tashi Lhunpo, representative of the Dalai Lama and Office of Tibet, London, and we have our chairman, and all the members of the Tibetan Community. First event, I want to invite Madam Tiangila and our Sokso to offer the kata to which is appreciate. Thank you. Next, we have short prayer service to the long life of his the loving Panchen Gedun Choekyi Nyima, led by Jesus. Next, I want to request a brief speech by Michael Wildwood, the trustees of Tashi Lhunpo Monastery.
Serene Yankee La, council members of the Tibetan Community in Britain, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Tashi Lhunpo. Thank you for welcoming me here today. The Tashi Lhunpo Monastery UK Trust was founded by Jane Rash in the early 2000s. Our patron is His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. Over the past 2 decades, the Trust has worked tirelessly to support Tashi Lhunpo Monastery in exile and to preserve Tibetan Buddhist traditions. Many of you, I'm sure, will have seen the monks' tours over the years or heard their many broadcasts on the BBC. Jane sent her apologies for not being able to be here in person today, so it's my great honour to speak briefly on behalf of the Trust. The 36th birthday of His Holiness the 11th Panchen Lama was commemorated yesterday in Tashi Lhunpo Monastery in Bailukupi and throughout the Tibetan world, with prayers for the swift release and the reading of the official statement by the monastery. The Tibetan saying, "In the sky, the sun and the moon, on the earth, the Dalai Lama and the Panchen Lama," expresses the special spiritual bond between the Dalai Lamas and the Panchen Lamas, strengthened by their shared desire to ensure the well-being of the Tibetan people and the continued preservation of the Buddha Dharma. The unique relationship began in the 17th century when the 4th Panchen Rinpoche became the spiritual leader of the 4th Dalai Lama, later recognising the 5th Dalai Lama and becoming his teacher. This led to the tradition of the 2 Lamas recognising each other's reincarnation. Following the death of the 10th Panchen Lama in Tibet on the 28th of January 1989, the search for his reincarnation began immediately. 30 names of candidates were received from both inside and outside Tibet, and in March 1991 it was confirmed that the reincarnation had been born in Tibet. His Holiness the Dalai Lama repeatedly contacted the Chinese authorities but was consistently rebuffed, in spite of the unique responsibility due to the historical relationship between the Dalai Lamas and the Panchen Lamas. In January 1995, it was revealed that Gedun Choekyi Nyima was the most likely candidate, and on the 14th of May 1995, His Holiness the Dalai Lama officially proclaimed the 6-year-old boy as the reincarnation of the 10th Panchen Lama, giving him the name Panchen Gedun Choekyi Nyima. 2 days later, on the 16th of May 1995, the boy and his parents disappeared from their home, reportedly taken into Chinese custody. It was not until the 28th of March 1996 that the Chinese authorities admitted that they were indeed holding the boy and his family, stating that he had been put under the protection of the government at the request of his parents because the boy was at risk of being kidnapped by separatists and his security had been threatened. Through the Panchen Lama Advocacy Initiative, organised by Tashi Lhunpo Monastery and through the work of its abbot and the monastery administration, the attention of both national governments and non-governmental organisations throughout the world have been repeatedly drawn to the issue of the disappearance of the Panchen Lama. As a highly revered spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism, his continued absence remains an issue of human rights, as well as shedding light on the broader struggle for religious freedom and Tibetan rights under Chinese law. On this solemn day, the monastery reaffirms that the recognition of reincarnated lamas is a sacred religious practice, and that any external interference is both unlawful and unacceptable. The monastery calls on the United Nations and the international community to intensify efforts to secure the immediate release of His Holiness the 11th Panchen Lama. The monastery also urges the Chinese government to release all political prisoners and to end policies that suppress religious practice, cultural expression and the use of the Tibetan language. Finally, the monastery appeals to the international community to continue supporting the Tibetan people's fundamental rights and freedoms. On behalf of Tashi Lhunpo Monastery, thank you for your support and prayers for the safe return of His Holiness the 11th Panchen Lama. We wish His Holiness the 11th Panchen Lama a very happy birthday and long life and health to His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. Thank you very
much. Next, we have Tibetan traditional dance led by our cultures secretary. This is Pakula and
good evening to everyone. The first program we have a song dedicated to His Holiness the 11th Panchen Lama by Gen Jayala and by Kusama. next we have a dance performance by Sonam Sono and by Pamela. So the song is about the aspiration of the Tibetan people to see or to greet the great lamas of Tibet, such as His Holiness the Dalai Lama, His Holiness the Panchen Lama, and Gyabo Kamapa and Sakya Rinpoche in their rightful places in Tibet.
Tashi Lhunpo
level to the 10 Panchen Lama's legacy and contributions, and the presentation will be Tashi.
And Tashi to our respected guests, representative of His Holiness, Sri and the trustee of Tashi Lhunpo Monastery, Michael Whitewood, and all members of the Tibetan community in Britain. Thank you all for joining us today to remember the 11th Panchen Gedun Choekyi Nyima. We come together in these difficult times to show our resilience. The Dalai Lama and the Dalai Lama and the Panchen Lama have always had an important relationship. Traditionally, the elder Lama would recognize the reincarnation of the younger. Perhaps what signifies this most poignantly is that we refer to the Dalai Lama as the sun and the Panchen Lama as the moon. And Lobsang Choekyi Gyaltsen, the first recognized Panchen Lama, was actually the 4th Panchen Lama, and so up until the 10th Panchen Lama, Lobsang Lhunpo Choekyi Gyaltsen, the Dalai Lama and the Panchen Lama, the Dalai Lama and the Panchen Lama have been able to live in relative religious freedom and harmony. The 10th Panchen Lama was born on February 19th, 1938 in Bido in Tonggong, Amdo. He was recognized as the reincarnation of the Panchen Lama by Gyaltsen Rinpoche in 1951 at the age of 13. In years to come, the Panchen Lama became a high-level member of the Chinese People's Consultative Conference and vice chairman of the preparatory committee for the Tibet Autonomous Region, the chairman being His Holiness the Dalai Lama. But when the Dalai Lama escaped India in 1959, the Panchen Lama remained behind. Whilst the Dalai Lama continued to be the spokesperson for Tibetans on an international stage, the 10th Panchen Lama continuously resisted the People's Republic of China's cultural genocide inside Tibet and made efforts to protect our language, culture, and identity. In 1962, the Panchen Lama authored the 70,000-character petition criticizing the PRC's harsh treatment of Tibetans and its repressive policies. As a result, he was seen as anti-Chinese, and in 1964, at a public meeting in Lhasa, was removed from all positions of authority and openly criticized and humiliated in a common torturous Maoist tactic of multiple struggle sessions. These were public displays of criticism and humiliation used during the Cultural Revolution in China, where individuals, often intellectuals or perceived enemies of the state, were forced to confess their crimes and face public denunciation. Following this, the Panchen Lama was thrown into solitary confinement for almost 10 years, before finally being released in 1975. Before his death in 1989, the 10th Panchen Lama travelled throughout Tibet and repeatedly advised the local people to maintain good relations with the Chinese, whilst also urging them to be a Tibetan and be for the Tibetan cause. The 10th Panchen Lama also worked tirelessly to preserve Tibetan Buddhist teachings, language and cultural traditions under repressive Chinese communist policies. He rebuilt monasteries and religious institutions damaged during the Cultural Revolution and recovered and preserved important scriptures and religious artifacts. He promoted the publication of Tibetan language books on literature and history and reopened Tibet University and other Tibetan language and literature-based universities and institutions in the 1980s. The year before his death, the Panchen Lama in 1988 founded the Tibet Development Fund to support long-term cultural and economic development. In 1989, the Panchen Lama returned to Tashi Lhunpo Monastery, where he commissioned a memorial stupa to replace the ones that had been destroyed during the Cultural Revolution. It was there, in Tashi Lhunpo, that the Panchen Lama suddenly died on 28 January 1989. His death was reported as a heart attack, but many suspect that this wasn't a natural death. In the Dalai Lama's recent book, Voice for the Voiceless, he shares how the 10th Panchen Lama's sudden death deeply saddened him, and that he felt an acute awareness that he had lost a truly powerful and courageous ally on the ground inside Tibet. Following his death, Gyal Rinpoche composed a prayer for his swift return, which contained the following lines. Even under a canopy of dense clouds of constant threat, with no control and freedom at all, you shouldered the great burden of Buddha's doctrine and being's welfare. Alas, sad indeed is your sudden departure into peace. In accord with your aspiration cultivated for so long, may the new moon of your unmistaken reincarnation shine from the eastern snowy peaks of the good fortune of the people of the land of snows. May we soon find the joy to cherish this resplendent new moon. The line, "May the new moon of your unmistaken reincarnation," are the most significant for me, as the Chinese Communist Party's tactics to control and make a mockery of this historic recognition of the Panchen Lama's reincarnation have led to this unmistaken reincarnation being falsely deemed as a mistaken one. It is deeply sad that I can't stand here today and speak on the contributions of the current 11th Panchen Lama, as unfortunately their ability to contribute with what I'm sure would have been a strong and powerful voice of leadership in our struggle for freedom were cut short at the ripe age of 6 years old. The 11th Panchen Lama is now the world's youngest political prisoner, and today we remember him and his family, whose whereabouts are still unknown. In this very unjust and tragic event, we must continue to show the CCP they will never be forgotten, and they cannot continue to get away with this or their control and manipulation of other religious figures, such as the recent tragic death of Lhunpo Rinpoche. I pray that, as Gyal Rinpoche says in his prayer for the Panchen Lama's swift return, we may soon find the joy to cherish this resplendent new moon of the 11th Panchen Lama. Thank you.
Appreciate Tashi, thank you Tashi. Now we are going to watch the document film, Inside China, the Battle for Tibet.
Its cultural heritage is well protected. Freedom of religion is fully guaranteed.
It's a momentous struggle between a communist party and Tibetan civilization.
Some kind of cultural genocide is taking place.
任何分裂西藏图谋和伎俩都将以失败而告终。
It's a mystery, the story of that disappearance, not only of an individual, but of a culture.
Tibet is almost forgotten. It's almost impossible to get information.
谢。
For today's event, Mr. Whitewood from Tashi Lhunpo for his speech. A big thanks to Kusang Sudana for leading the prayer, and to J. Jayala and Kusanga for their wonderful song. And I would like to thank Prema and Sunam for their beautiful dance. And I would also like to thank Tashi for informative presentation on the legacy of Panchen Lama. Our gratitude goes to Mala for the thoughtful documentary that enriched today's event. A warm thanks to Mr. Nyima for generously donating birthday cake. And last but not least, I would like to thank Mrs. Triangula and the staff of Office of Tibet and all the community members who attended this gracious who attended this event. Your gracious presence has made this celebration a truly meaningful. Thanks. And there's an announcement for the next week, that is on 3rd of May, TCP and between subcommittees organizing a dance night in Plumstead, and I would like to request all of you to please kindly attend, and please bring your friends and families. Thank you.